Yeah, this episode's not going to suck like the last 100 or so. This one's going to rock with the nice guys on business.
That's when I came up with the idea of the illustrations to go along with the posts to enhance them. And for people that were following me on Facebook, it's a different experience than what they saw before. And frankly, a lot of this is recycled from Facebook, because if I had to sit down and write 155 jokes or posts like that, I would have never done it.
And now, broadcasting from the hatchback of a 72 Ford Pinto, broadcasting from a secret bunker underneath Fort McHenry, broadcasting from the abandoned food court at the White Flint Mall, broadcasting live from their mother's basement, broadcasting from no closer than 100 yards from their court-mandated distance from Tim Ferriss, broadcasting from the back room of El Pollo Hermanos. It's Los Chicos de Niza por Negocios. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
Nice Guy community, today we are in for a treat. More than an author, he is a connection to my childhood, a good buddy of my late brother, David. You know him as Detour Dave on the show. Not late as in not on time, but the kind of late that has you reaching sometimes for any connection because he's not living any longer. So connecting back to my childhood today is Murray Siegel. He's the author of a new book, self-published book called MurMurings, Funny Tales of Terror and Other Desperate Cries for Help. I've read this book. I've read it because it is a very short book and there's a lot of pictures in it. So you know it's one of my favorites because of that. So MurMurings, his book is actually two books in one. It's about half of the book contains illustrated Facebook postings that are observant, biting, funny, and sometimes silly or absurd. The other half of the book consists of 9 short stories, and they're so fucking funny, depicting scary events from the author's life, but retold with lots of laughs. Now, when Murray isn't writing, he can be found eating, sleeping, or trying to open those plastic baggies in the produce section. I don't even know how to do that. I go into Trader Joe's. I just throw the shit in my cart, Murray. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. And thanks for having me on. I actually took some classes in opening those bags, but I didn't pass. They're harder than you think. So, you know, I can blow a whole Sunday.
So you figure that they would have worked their magic somehow with technology today. Someone would figure out either put people in the produce section to open them for you or something. That would be a good way to
know.
Go.
It's funny. It's like you read what I put in the suggestion box, but
it's right there. It's right there. So this book is really cool, but I don't want to talk about the book quite yet. We'll get there, and I'm going to promote how people can get a hold of the book and enjoy it. But can we talk about my brother for a second?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So my brother David, as you know, Murray, my brother David, for those in our community have never heard me refer potentially to my brother. You've only been listening for 3 years, not for 7 years that we've had this show and 1,200 plus episodes. My brother David was exactly 180 degrees opposite from me. The guy could throw a ball, catch a ball. He had lots of friends. He had a big crowd. He never did anything bad. He was just a good guy. Why was it me that lived and he died? How is that even possible?
You know what? If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be writing the kinds of books I'm writing. I don't know. It's so just
go back to when you guys were kids for a second. I know I've probably heard a lot of stories about my brother, and you may have a million stories about my brother. But can you recall anything? I want you to recall something I might not even know about him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I met your brother you too, for that matter, but I met you both in 1970. Dave and I were on a Little League team together. It was my first year and his second. So we were, I think, in about 3rd or 4th grade. And Dave was the pitcher and I was the catcher. And without a doubt, Dave was the best player in the whole league. And my recollection is that he was only allowed to pitch 3 innings a game, right. Because we were so little. And most of the time, Dave threw 9 pitches. It was just, if he threw 10, it was a shock. Right. I remember kids coming up to bat against him, crying. They didn't want to face him. You know, it was like their fathers made them do it. And as good of a pitcher as he was, and by my calculation, he probably pitched about 45 innings that season. we went to the finals. And we lost 1-0 in the one game we played, and he was not the losing pitcher. Someone else was. And but he probably struck out about 130 batters and allowed 5 hits and 1 or 2 runs. And as good of a pitcher as he was equally as good as a hitter. And I remember one time he was being intentionally walked, and he reached across and hit the ball to the opposite field and ran to first. And he was just a great guy. We became, really good friends at that time. We didn't go to the same school until I think about 7th grade.
Yeah.
And remained friends all through college. He was in the dorm next to mine, and we would see each other a lot. And then after college, I would bump into him, usually at baseball games or something. And we stayed in touch. I actually visited him maybe a month or so before he passed away, a couple of times in the hospital.
Yeah. I mean, great story. I always knew that my brother was a good athlete. It's always great to hear like Johnny or Rick or Joey telling amazing stories about my brother as an athlete. And I do remember him as an athlete, but I remember it so differently as I was a kid. I remember just hating the fact that he was so great at everything, and which led me never to even try.
Yeah. He was good, and he was funny. I mean, just an amazing sense of humor, and an all around nice guy.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. So you went to elementary school with him, and then you went to, what was the first?
I think 7th grade, maybe 7th grade.
Junior high. All right. Yeah, so he was at cross country. I don't think any respectable white boy was ever at cross country elementary school. And we were the two white kids that were at that school. And it was crazy because I think he got a lot of his humor from all of the black kids that he used to hang out with. They were just it was a great element of people for him to hang out with at that time in our lives. We were very impressionable at the time. Yeah. So you went on to doing some writing immediately, or were you always in the creative writing side or in the broadcasting side, or where did you guys where did that intersect with you and my brother?
That part really didn't come into play. We didn't really, I wasn't in broadcasting. The closest I came in the 80s was working for an ad agency and producing some radio and TV ads.
That's what I thought you did something in the industry. And when did you decide that, okay, I'm going to try my hand at writing a book? Because I'll tell you, and we can talk about the business end of the book, like the whole self-publishing thing, and whether if you had to do it again, you try to go the traditional route, or if you would self-publish again. Just tell me a little bit about the whole experience of putting a book together.
Well, for this particular book, because I'd been doing a lot of writing on the side, really through junior high school, college, after college, up until the early 90s. And then I put it aside for a while, picked up on it a little bit in 2007. And shortly after that, in 2009, I got onto social media on Facebook. Your brother was one of my first friends, probably among the first 20, and he was already a pro at it. He did a great job he really did, just pulling people in and getting them interested.
He's still doing a great job on his page. I don't know if you ever go over to his page. His page still exists, and there's still a lot of people that still post on his page, which is amazing.
Yeah, I did. I checked it out not too long ago, in the last month or so, and I did notice that. But anyway, so I started posting on Facebook back then. And over time, most of my early posts were just about how bad the Orioles were. And
you guys were always avid sports fans.
Yeah.
Again, another thing that I just never got into because he was just so amazing at it. All you guys were. I mean, I look at like Nelson and Joey and Rick and John. I mean, the same set of guys. And I'm like, and Skip. I mean, the entire crew of you guys were just so into sports, especially the Baltimore teams.
Well, no one can outdo Nelson, but anyway,
right? Exactly. Statistician.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was posting on Facebook a lot, and over time I was, building more people coming to my page, and I was just writing some really offbeat stuff, funny stuff, kind of for myself, I guess. I'm not really sure who my audience was until it started to find itself. But by the same token, people were responding, and they were telling me that it was funny. I was getting a lot of good feedback, good positive feedback. So I just kind of continued along that way for many years. And over that time, a lot of my friends said, you should do stand-up. And I'm like, I'm not going to do stand-up. It's just not something I was interested in. That's a whole art level that I would never, I can't do it.
Got it.
Or they'd say, you should write a book, you should do something. And I took it as a compliment, but I also figured for every person like me, there's, thousands of others in the country that are getting the same feedback from their friends. So I never really took it too seriously. And then about a year ago, maybe a little bit less, I started to think about it a little bit more seriously, I guess with COVID and, having a little bit more idle time. And I started to think, well, how can I do this? What can I do? How can I pull this together? Does anybody want to read a book that has hundreds of Facebook posts that may or may not be funny? Again, I'm working a little bit in a vacuum, and I always say, just never believe your own press. And what people say, they try to flatter you, but how good is it really? So anyway, I gave it some thought, and I said, well, if I'm going to do this, first of all, I would imagine that that publishers were probably getting so many submissions like this for books. Right. I could just see sending it in, and the publisher's like, oh, here's the 50th one today of somebody that thinks they're funny on Facebook, and it just goes right into a bin. So I said, okay, this has to be different. First of all, the writing and the content, of course, has to be good, and it has to be funny, and that still remains to be seen. But
I think it's funny. I think it's good.
Well, good. Well, thank you.
Both of those things.
You're not just saying that to get ratings up, right?
No, I didn't ask you to be on the show. You asked me, and I agreed. Then I read the book, and I didn't cancel the interview.
Yeah, that's
so it actually really good. So
Point.
All confirmed.
Point taken. So anyway, I just decided that I wanted to make it a little bit different, and that's when I came up with the idea of the illustrations to go along with the posts to enhance them. And for people that were following me on Facebook, it's a different experience than what they saw before. And frankly, a lot of this is recycled from Facebook, because if I had to sit down and write 155 jokes or posts like that, I would have never done it. It would take forever. And it took 13 years to do it. So that was that half of the book. And then the other half, the Funny Tales of Terror, about 2 years ago, I sat down just as an exercise. I don't even know what motivated me to do it, but I sat down and I wrote the story about the first time, or the time I almost got robbed. Yeah. And which is the first short story in the book. There's 9 total. And I wrote it in a short period of time. I rewrote it, came back to it a few times, but it flowed. It just, because I was telling a true story and a real memory and a story that I've told people verbally over the years. So it came out nicely, and it just sat there for 2 years. And then it was kind of like the old TV ad where peanut butter meets chocolate, and that's how you get the Reese's peanut butter cup.
Right.
And it was like, wait a minute, I can marry these two together. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. But I tried it, and I wrote about the first 14 pages, I think, where I had a few of like kind of the way it appears now in the book. So there's a series of posts, and then usually about 4 or 5 per page. And then there's a short story, and then there's more posts, and then another short story. And that's where I started, and I circulated it with some friends, and the feedback was really good.
Well, it's what I enjoy about it is, and I agree. I think that first story is a good kickoff story when you talk about the time you were almost robbed. But I think the one that I like better, because it involves maybe a romantic relationship at some point. Is it Karen, if I remember correctly, or the woman in the
Karen's my wife, so be careful.
All right, so it is Karen. All right, then you talk about the time you were robbed. And
that wasn't with her though. That was before we met.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. So there was not. So I'm just confusing the names in the book. But the story, which is great, is you go on to talk about actually the time that you were robbed, and you've had a lot of close calls. The first time was with a bunch of guys, and the second time it was with a woman when you were actually robbed. And I think the $5 that they stole for the pizza and the whole story. Yeah. I mean, those are really, really interesting stories. It's funny though, because as I go back and think about, I wrote a book back in 2015, Nice Guys Finish First. And as I go back and think about that, I literally wrote down the stories that I think I could weave into the motif of the book. And so I wrote the stories down first, and then I go back and I kind of weave in and out the lessons that I want to teach people in the book about the stories that I have, about the story I've written in customer service and all of that. And what's interesting about it is the best way to tell a story is start with something that actually is real, that happened to you. So it becomes that much more vivid in your mind. And I feel like I'm right there with you as you're walking. I told you to walk on the street and not the sidewalk.
I mean, to this day, I just can't believe that they didn't listen to me. I kind of muttered it under my breath because I didn't want to give away to the potential robbers what our strategy was. And they
not that it would have made any difference, but you think it might have made all the difference in the world at the same time.
Yeah. So
I've enjoyed reading the book, and it's one of those kind of books that you could pick up and read it in, literally a couple of hours, if you need it. It's I do love how you weave the stories in with the Facebook posts as well. I love the fact that they're true to life. The fact that we actually have a connection from childhood, though, while it's good, it's not essential to know Murray as you're reading this book. It's just fun. They're just funny stories. So that was good.
Thank you. And yeah, it's a unique book. I mean, I read a lot of books. I read a lot. I read 5 books a year. And
that would be a lot if you're talking about me. So that's good. So when you say a lot, I'm thinking, okay, what's he read? 5 books a year?
I read a lot, but I'm always, pre-COVID in bookstores. And I don't think I've ever seen a book like this that takes essays, short stories, whatever you want to call them, and mixes them with illustrated jokes. So what was
when you originally started to put this together, what was the goal? Obviously, the goal of writing a book as an author like me, the goal is never to make money, but the connections and the relationships that I'm going to build as a result of it. It's not to make the 6 cents that you make on each sale of the book. So what was the reason that you wrote the book as a legacy?
Partly, but I think it was initially, and I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know it was going to end up being 64 pages. I thought maybe I would do 20 pages, print it out, hand it to friends or something, and it just took on a life of its own. And it really built up momentum. The more I wrote, the more I wanted to write. And as I got feedback, it inspired me to write more. And the goal at that point kind of switched, and I said, okay, I'd like to get it published. I spoke to a friend of mine, a longtime friend who's a literary agent, and she said that because I'm not really a known entity in the writing world, that she suggested that I try to self-publish it.
Right.
So I researched that, and that is pretty much low-hanging fruit. I mean, it's not difficult to do, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But what she also said was, if you reach a certain plateau in sales, then the publishers start to take notice.
Right.
So
I'm still waiting on that call from my publisher. I'll tell you. I mean, we have sold thousands of books, and I do have 120 5-star or 120 reviews. Some of them 5-star, but I get probably 4.9 completely. They still don't call you, unless you're Stephen King or J.K. Rowling. It's just not happening.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. As much as things have opened up with the internet and ebooks and things like that, it's tough. And my expectations, I like what you said before. I'm not in this to make money. It would be nice if I did, but I'm not expecting to. You never know what can happen, but I'm not expecting to. But it's the fun. It's it's doing something like this. And all
right, so blue sky this thing. Put yourself in a position where 2 years from now, this book has been out. It's gotten rave reviews. Everybody is loving it. Where could you see this potentially going for not just the book, but for your career?
Well, for the where I could, if I'm really dreaming.
Don't share this with anybody at your office, and you can say whatever you want to now. So I'll just fill in the blank here. I'll edit all this shit out, so don't worry about it.
All right, thanks. Well, no, I'm
not editing any of this, just so you know.
Okay, I could see potentially like something like a one a day desk calendar kind of thing.
Nice.
Or t-shirts or other coffee mugs, that kind of stuff. Going into other media, I can't see somebody. Well, I certainly can't see myself, even though I've written screenplays before, but I can't see myself doing an adaptation for the screen. But, you just never know where that could go. And the other thing I'd thought about is that if a publisher does pick it up, I could see expanding it, making it a longer book. But I was trying to keep it affordable, and that's why it is the length it is.
All right. So I got to ask this because, I'm a podcasting hammer. Everything looks like a podcasting nail to me. How have you not seen this as a podcast?
That's a good question.
There was just so you know, Nice Guy Community, I'm watching Murray on live feed on Zoom, and there was a blank stare literally for 3 seconds before he responded to that. So I am always curious. People, I've done 1,200 plus episodes of Nice Guys on Business, and we listen to this, and we have 4 million downloads, and you start to get this community built, and our community is great. They're quiet, but they're a great community, and I always think, hey, this is a great way to get a message out. It's pretty cheap to do. Why wouldn't everybody do it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I will say in part, I do have a full-time job, so and this really took a lot of energy to do. And it was just launched October 13th. So I'm still in the first phase of this and feeling things out. And people are just really starting to read the book. They ordered it online from MurraySiegel.com.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we put a link in the show notes for that also, and it'll take you directly to the I can't remember is it Book Nook? What's the name of the
Book Patch? The Book Patch.
That's right. I was going to say Book Nook, but it's Book Patch. But just go over to MurraySiegel.com. We'll put a link in the show notes, so don't worry about the spelling of either Murray or Siegel. Either one of those,
right? Because even my parents couldn't spell my name. I think I've seen both my first name and last name spelled so many ways. So
just check the link in the show notes, but just so you know, in case you don't know how to get to the show notes, MurraySiegel.com.
Right.
Pretty easy. Right. Just do it. It's right there in the show notes. But just if you don't know how to get to the show notes, just go back and re-listen to this last 10 seconds.
Thank you. And we don't want to forget about the new Facebook and Instagram pages for MurMurings by Murray, where and what I wanted to point out there that some people don't realize is all of the content there, or I should say none of the content is in the book. It's all fresh. So I've had a few people say, well, I'll just read this. I don't have to, pay for your book. And I said, well,
Nice Guy Community, it's like $10. Buy the fucking book. $11.50. I'm sorry, it's $11.50. Buy the book. I promise you, it will be well worth it. And if you do it right and you contact Murray, he might even send you like a book tag that you can put in the book that will have his signature on it. Maybe he could work that out. Not on the actual book, but he could even work out a sticker that you would get or something cool. Or let me tell you something. If you reach out to Murray and you say that you're part of the Nice Guy Community, he will do whatever you need him to do. Fly the book to California from Baltimore. I think he'll do it. Murray, is that true or not true?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been shut in for a year and a half. I need to get
You're
out.
welcome to go anywhere. Yeah. You're welcome to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So what, I know we have a connection other than my brother and our childhood. We have a connection through Tim Hill in the promotional products industry. So what do you do? What's your full-time gig?
My full-time job is I am the marketing director for a company in Baltimore called Towel Specialties, like beach towel. Mm-hmm. And we are essentially a factory that puts corporate logos on beach towels and blankets and bags and other items for promotional use. And I've been there since 1998. And it's been a great run. I really enjoy it.
You remember a guy named Ted Du Bois? Now, Ted he owned a Du Bois Textile. That was a towel company in Baltimore. No, don't remember?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think you remember him, or you don't think that's who he was?
I don't think I know. I don't think I knew him.
Because I'm not lying to you.
No, I know.
I worked at his store in Fenwick Island in 19. Oh geez, I'm going to go way back now here. 1983. Nope, 1982. When I lived at the beach in the summer of '82, I worked at Du Bois Textile, and he used to have this beach store, which was like an outlet for all the fucked up stuff that he had at his factory that he couldn't sell.
Do you remember the name of the store?
I think the store's name was also Du Bois Textile.
Yeah. No, it doesn't ring a bell. But anyway,
yeah, sorry, I digress.
No. I was gonna say I met Tim through our industry. He actually reached out to me on Facebook several years ago and sent me a friend request. We accepted, and we ran into each other at shows and would strike up conversation. And he's a great guy. Yeah,
Tim is a great guy. He's connected me with a couple of guys that have been in my past. You are one of them. I don't know if you know another guy in the promotional products industry his name is Cliff Quicksell. It's such a unique name. Well, Cliff
I know him very well.
Cliff is a friend through the industry as well, and a professional speaker. When I was on the speaking tour for a few years back in 2015 to 2018, just a whole bunch of really great connections. And what are you doing personally now? So it sounds like you're married to Karen, still married to Karen. One wife, only one wife. You haven't seemed to manage.
She won't let me have another one. Yeah, so
no, I know how that happens.
We're here in Maryland. We're
understood. I understood. Yeah. California hold a different set of rules here, so we're good. And you're at a spot where you're actually still paying under $3 a gallon for gas right now, correct?
No. Well, if I use my Harris Teeter bonus points, then yes,
you could get it.
Other than that, it's about $335, $340 now.
So he's got the book, he's got the wife, he's working in the promotional products industry, and he's doing great. And I love having him on the show. And I appreciate so much those stories about my brother as he was growing up. One more final plug for the book. It's at MurraySiegel.com. MurMurings, Funny Tales of Terror and Other Desperate Cries for Help. It is a New York Times non-seller. I love that. I first saw that. I'm like, wait, bestseller? No, I got it. Non-seller. I got it. And available at MurraySiegel.com. Just check the show notes. Any final words of advice for our community?
A couple of things. First of all, I just wanted to point out the book is really for all ages. I'm finding I've had several people in their 80s tell me how much they like it, and others in their 30s.
And they're actually, since there's a lot of pictures in here, you could even read it if you don't know how to read, because there's pictures.
That's right. That's right.
So it could be good for you there too. That's
right. And the only other thing I was going to mention is that the whole process of self-publishing, and for me, this was beyond self-publishing. This is me doing everything. I mean, I did the design. I didn't do the illustrations, but I did the design, the cover, just from front to back. That was me. And then I had to develop the website and the social media, videos, all that. But from everything I've read, the advice I've read concerning self-publishing is that it's harder than anything else. You don't have a publisher behind you with a budget, and it's just a matter of getting the word out. So I've been doing what I can, and appreciate, of course, being on the show. And so we'll see where this goes. When the day I launched it on Facebook, when I hit the post button to announce to everyone, I just sat there like with my finger ready to hit. I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting ride, and it has been so far.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to getting some feedback from our community about MurMurings, Funny Tales of Terror and Other Desperate Cries for Help. Murray Siegel is the author, and he is a good friend from childhood, and he is here promoting the book. So, Murray, thank you for being on the show and sharing your message.
Sure. Thanks a million, Doug.
Nice guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice or the power of telling some funny tales of terror. Also, special thanks to Murray Siegel. All of his information, including access to his book, his website, all the other fun stuff that we talked about today, right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the nice guys on business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Well, that's 20 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Oh, is it still on?